Of course, that last report showing there at the GAATES Global Alliance on Accessible Technology and Environmental Conference that's been going on here in Riyadh at the Prince Salman Center for Disability Research. And back in the studio with us now, we have Dr. Mukta Al-Shabani and Ms. Amanda Gibbard, who are from GAATES, and they are talking to us. And back to what we were discussing before the report, if you could tell us more about the GAATES project and about who is the target for, apart from the disabled and the old, who else is your target? Is there any other?
It's actually all of us. I think that's the whole point of universal design. It's to reflect that for some reason over however long we've been designing, we haven't been designing for all of us. We haven't been trying to, in whatever ways is suitable to our culture and our society, to include everybody in society. And actually the whole subject of universal design has brought up the need to question that. People with disabilities have spearheaded this movement because as a group within society, this is the group that's been most excluded. And so therefore this is where the passion has come from, and the drive to basically say, for all of us, we need to do something about this. And the UN Convention has been maybe the pinnacle of work of people with disabilities throughout the world to say, let's change this, let's change the way the world is, so that we can all be part of it and we can all participate. So the UN Convention has a very big goal, and I think this is where GAATES can really assist in a very practical way, because what we're aiming to do through the expertise that we can offer and the work that we've been doing in the various countries that we represent is to show how we can use that to help other countries and to share expertise between countries, and basically to help to drive the mission of the UN Convention forward.
Okay, Dr. Shabani, just one question to you. Over the three-day conference, has there been any innovative technology or anything, any new innovations or anything discovered by all the experts that have come?
Well, it's each expert actually is talking about a new area, that is being tackled and discussed, and there is a difference between universal design, for instance, and assistive technologies, which is another area where innovations and things. They show some of these things, that's being used now in transportation, in vehicles, in talking ATM machines, and in many other things. That is now the technology is there. So I believe we exchange experiences from around the world, from Asia to Europe, America, even in Africa. So we're learning from each exchanging of ideas.
Yeah.
Well, if you can shed some light on something that was mentioned in the report. The member of GAATES that was on the report mentioned something about celebrating built. And is built a certain thing in GAATES, or is it sustainable built?
The sustainable built environment? Or?
Yes, I guess it's that.
That's the word, yeah. Yeah, universal design lead to sustainable environment.
Sustainable built environment.
Yes, sustainable built environment, exactly. So, and that's mean, whatever, when you design a building, with the universal design criteria, it's become sustainable and usable all the time. by everyone. See,
So that's
you
where
don't,
sustainability comes
yeah,
from.
you don't just discriminate. You know, some people not they cannot use the building itself, like a hotel or amusement park or whatever. You know, or an airplane, whatever. I mean, all these facilities has to be universally designed, and it should be for all.
Okay, you struck a good point with the talking ATM machines, which seems like a very innovative and good idea. But let's take an example for an airplane. Being the president of GAATES and being a board member of GAATES, and GAATES is 5 years now running, what are the things that you want to change in, let's say, airplanes? How can airplanes be more universally designed?
Okay, I think if I could just talk a little bit more, because my work is in South Africa, where I work in the transport field.
Okay.
So what I would just like to say is that transport is part of a system. What we're looking at in South Africa is how to integrate modes of transport into a network. So you can't look at a plane on its own, because a plane delivers you to a place where you take another form of transport and then another form of transport. And that mode of transport, plane is this example, is part of a travel chain. So you make decisions. You have to work out how you're going to get the plane, how you're going to get to it, which, you know, there's the details about the flight, and there's a number of different stages, and they make up your journey. So it's not just simply getting on the plane. There's a lot of things that happen before you get on the plane and after you get on the plane. Okay. So what we want to do is to make sure that you can complete that journey at every single stage. And that's what makes it accessible. So technology is part of that, and physical design is part of that. They're both actually part of that. But also people are part of that. And I think this is what's important, as well as the technology, is that in some countries a lot of technology is important, and in others, because of the stage of development or because of culture, it's actually very important to have people involved, and people can offer as much assistance, and the interaction with people are as important as the technology and, for example, the signage or something like that. So I think planes are an interesting one, because for a lot of people the air industry has led the way, because aeroplanes and airports and the systems that
have to be universal in the beginning.
They do, but they are, and people are travelling more who have disabilities, and in a way that's one of the things that's driven this. People have had the opportunity when they've been able to afford it to fly. But other forms of transport are less well developed, and there are plenty of opportunities now. Certainly in South Africa, we've got some that are much more universally accessible, and we need to start developing this whole network so that we can bring everybody to the same point, if you like.
So you've developed some parts, but still working on others.
Yeah, but we're still working on this concept of a travel chain. Sorry?
To making it a network, more of a network.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, let's go on. Sorry.
Okay. I raised the same question a long time ago to, we were in the States, and I raised it to the Boeing, company. The answer was at that time that Boeing is doing the body of the airplane, but the interior goes back to all other airlines. I mean, they're, the airline designers. The airline designers, the interior designers, and that's why they said we cannot control it. Now, with the pressure of the UN CRPD, they are improving the interior of airplanes by having a toilet for disabled, larger, bigger than ever been before, and you find more facilities for them.
I mean, the toilets in the bathroom are hard for, even well-being people. So
True.
Regardless of disabled people.
I think, you're not going to change that because you want to get a lot of people on the plane, but they're making the inside more flexible so that you can make the toilet bigger if you need to, and having movable armrests on the outer seats so that if somebody's slightly bigger, they can still sit comfortably, and there are more options. So you can play around with space and make it more accommodative of the human condition. But I do think that part of all of this is the need to reflect on having customer service and assistance, which you obviously still have on the plane. And if you don't have that, you know, you can't make, the environment can't solve all your problems.
And
People need to as
sorry,
well.
this shouldn't cost more as well.
No.
To have the bigger seats on the plane and the bigger accommodation. It shouldn't cost someone who is disabled more just because they're disabled.
No.
I'll just say something, you know, funny, that within the last 3 days, the people coming from all over, you know, 3 of the experts lost their wheelchairs, you know, coming from different airports, 3 different airports. They all forget to put their wheelchair in the airplane. They came without, so we have to buy some for them here, wait for their plane to bring that thing, you know, the wheelchairs, you know, to them, and it's really something.
Well, as a final question, I want to ask: many people, when they think about the rights of disabled, they say any country, any state, any district, they must have the right regulations, but they're not really enforced or not really put in place. Does the GAATES, does it see it that same way, or do you think that the regulations need to be revamped even more?
Well, first we have to get regulations. That's a major important thing. You know, there are so many countries without.
True. Yes.
You know, and if you look to the world, there are probably 30 countries only out of 190 who have really regulations and
that have these regulations.
Codes. Yeah. The rest are under development or still developing. I am part of the ISO TC59 for accessible environment standard, and that standard took around 7 years to be produced. Only last year it comes out. So this standard is going to be used by most of the countries who have no standards, who have no regulations. And it is the first time in ISO to have such a standard. You know.
Well, that's eye-opening, to say the least. Architect Mukhtar Shaybani, the president of GAATES, which is a global alliance on accessible technologies and environments, along with Ms. Amanda Gifford, thank you so much for being with us on the program and sharing this insightful information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're now going to go with our inspirational thought segment titled The Finnish Strong Teen Athlete, and then we'll be right back. Stay tuned.